of course, you are free to ask and to comment on what they are saying. For how long are you working in Brazil in social work?
I think 15 years.
15 years already?
15 years.
Okay.
I started very early.
How old are you? You start very early? You're just like a child.
I'm 35.
35. So since you're 20, you work as a social worker in Brazil. How many projects in an emotive way of thinking did you run in Brazil?
You mean with emotive?
With emotive kind of projects,
Yeah.
where you people focusing on social cohesion, on the community work.
I have to apologize myself because I'm not so familiar with the whole concept of emotive because I could not find many things written in English.
Oh yeah.
But
so we have to translate.
Yeah. But if we're talking about the work we did here, this is what we are doing for the last 15 years. It's community development, from bottom up, working with the people, listening to the people. This is what we do.
Okay.
I don't know. I think this is something that we share with the motive, right?
Yeah, it's bottom up, working with the community, with the people. Are you always building community homes like this, or renovating them? Or is there a diversity in projects you're running?
The essence of what we do is not the physical thing. So we don't say we build things. We say we realize dreams.
You realize dreams?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's the concept. So it depends on what the community says.
Mm-hmm.
Is their dream. This is what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
We spent at least 10 years not being understood by people because people were all the time saying, what do you do? Do you work with education, with health? Do you build things? And we were saying, no, we realize dreams. And people could not understand that.
I can imagine.
So now, as we have a lot of images of what we do, so people at least trust that we are saying that we do something that is real.
I think when you go into a community in Holland, for instance, you ask people, what is your dream? When you ask 10 people, they have 10 dreams. How can you take these dreams together into one dream and to realize it?
In our experience, when you go deep for very meaningful dreams,
Mm-hmm.
you will start to find a lot of connections.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, we as humans, we share some common values.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to get to this point where there is a lot of consensus around what is important for us. So we only realize collective dreams that are meaningful for most of the people in the community.
Right. In Skolderweg, is it easy to find a collective dream in a community somewhere at home, in Amsterdam, for instance?
Well, in my experiences, yes. And it was interesting actually, because we did the Oasis game over there. Of course, very curious to see if a Brazilian methodology would work here.
Yeah.
Different circumstances, same type of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
What we had there was a community where there was a lot of different cultural backgrounds, and all groups were living, let's say, quite separately from one another.
Mm-hmm.
But the funny thing was that they all separate from one another said that they wanted to meet the other groups more, that they wanted more interaction with the neighbors.
Uh-huh.
And one of the common dreams was something that I guess is also very human. Is playgrounds for kids, more ability for kids to do things and have fun.
Okay, so kids and human and to meet the other. I think I can imagine one of the main differences between a community in Brazil, a community in Amsterdam North, is that in Brazil people are more homogeneous, they're all Brazilians by birth. And Amsterdam North, I don't know whether that's right, but perhaps I'm lying. In Amsterdam North you have perhaps 50 different nationalities in one community. Is it right what I'm thinking, that there's a difference in homogeneity in the community?
I wouldn't say that in Brazil. I think one of the main characteristics of Brazil is diversity. We have people from everywhere in Brazil.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah. what we do have in Brazil is a very strong sense of being Brazilian, even if you are like from abroad. I think it was with you we were talking before. It's in Brazil usually people choose to be Brazilian very fast. Even people from different countries, Japanese people from Arabic countries. Once they are there, it's something about like I don't know, the Brazilian culture. People very fast choose to adopt the Brazilian culture. So
including Portuguese as a language.
Including Portuguese. I think most of the people from other countries living there, they would start immediately try to speak Portuguese and raise their children in Portuguese.
Okay, it's not an obligation in Brazil to speak Portuguese to become a Brazilian.
No.
Okay.
During the how do you call this in English? The military period when we had
Dictatorship.
The dictatorship.
Yeah, so by that time, I think people were not allowed to speak their own language. But interesting, that was the time when they would be speaking at home their language more, because it was like when they arrived.
Yeah.
So, but nowadays... No.
But still, Niels, still won't let loose. In Brazil, everybody speaks Portuguese, everybody considers themselves as Brazilians. Isn't this a difference with Holland, for instance, where people are more individualistic, more stick to their ethnicity?
I don't think it's a matter of being Dutch or feeling Dutch. It's more about the individualism that is different. This is what I think we encountered. For instance, when we were in Brazil, everybody was on the streets, for instance. It was a lot easier to find them and to speak to them. But they also have I think a more natural, strong sense of community. But nevertheless, knowing that, that was just a start, but that didn't mean that you can find the connections and that you should look for the connections and that you should work from the same type of dream and way to discover who is the community and who are the people, because they are actually connected and they know, you got to talk to that one, and that one says, you got to talk to that one, and if you follow the steps of the Oasis game, you find that there is actually a root of connections in the community.
All right.
But it's...
And by playing the Oasis game, you overcome that disconnection. You connect again, reconnect or connect or even. Yeah. All right.
Can add something about this difference. I think this one of my perceptions here is by reflection. In Brazil, we do have this sense of community. And this is also because of a need. People need each other to live. This is maybe a good consequence of having bad government. Because if people don't have friendship in their neighborhood, they would have to overcome their difficulties alone. So they need the friendship with their neighbors, maybe sometimes to share food, to share something. Yeah. And here it's everything so solved by the government that people don't even need to be friends of their neighbors because they don't need them for anything.
They need the phone number of the local government and to call and complain.
Okay, and then you're finished. But how difficult is it to adapt a methodology from Brazil in Amsterdam North? Then there's a different sense of community, there's a more individualism, and people perhaps don't speak the same language, whatever.
Well, is it difficult? It just needs, you need to find the essence of the success of the methodology, replicate that and look at the local environment and adapt where it's needed.
All right.
So it's not 100% copy because of the different setting. But if you work from the same principles and with the same basic steps, yet do not close your eyes for the differences, and actually proactively work with that, you can reach the same results. So for instance, a very simple thing is that we're talking about local government, which is very different to Brazil, because we just started building with the people there. They were informed, I know, but that was just about it. If we didn't involve the local government and some other key professional parties in the Kleine Wereld in Oslo North in an early stage, it would have worked against us. And then you don't reach the result, of course. So that is, I guess, an example of a different approach, but we still did exactly the same thing.
Okay. Only have to adjust the Oasis game every now and then in a different environment.
I think the main difference is on the formal structures.
Yeah.
When it comes to the people, it's not so different. That's my experience. We had to be a little bit more persistent here to in order to be able to talk with the people, because people were inside their homes.
Also outside.
Well, yeah, but this I would say this was the main difference. We had to be more persistent and more like trying to convince them to participate. Like we had to put more effort on this.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.